Here is Sumo, and this is my big guy. He's a 17 and a half hand, 7-year-old thoroughbred gelding. And Sumo's sort of in the same boat as Cricket. But I've put more rides on Sumo. So Sumo's had probably 6 or 7 rides, but he's only gone over poles once, and really only ground poles, a couple of flower boxes, but very limited jumping experience. However, when we were coming today with Bally, he was the main event. I just thought that Sumo and Cricket are just such good kids that they would be able to handle this. And for them, it's not really a jumping adventure, it's more just an adventure for the sake of getting off the property, seeing if you can take them off the trailer, get on without any nonsense, do some flatting around a big cross country field with lots and lots to look at, see how rideable they stay, how soft they stay, and just sort of what they make out of the change in scenery and hauling somewhere off property. And I have to say that him and Cricket, God, they were both just incredible. Super sound, I mean, not sound, super soft. Well, he is also super sound, but he was soft, he was steerable, he was rideable. We did a bunch of changing of directions, making sure we could bend left and right, turning every which way. And I thought he was fantastic. So actually, after we flatted around a little bit, we did play over some little tiny logs, kind of the same stuff as what Cricket did, just building a little tiny bit on the ground poles that we'd done in the ring. Of course, this is a much bigger atmosphere for them to try and process being in a new place, everything going on around them, and to try and build on to the fact that they've really only ever done ground poles once. So I thought they were both fantastic. They're very different sorts of horses. Sumo to me is more of the sort of the big, gentle giant. He's a really huge horse. I mean, he's tall and he's big bodied and he's long and all the things. So you feel like you're on a big horse, but he's actually not that huge moving of a horse. So if you're a person who enjoys riding a big horse, but you actually don't want a horse that's going to be, bouncing you around or just making huge movements, then that's Sumo. He's really kind of like riding around in a Cadillac. He's very smooth. I love how he's got his ears pricked. He's staying totally rideable. He's soft, he's bending, he's doing all the things, but his ears are pricked and he looks happy and excited and all the things. And I think he's moving quite nicely. If anything, maybe just getting a little bit of excitement, being in a new place, I think actually helps him to move a little bit better, probably. A little bit of adrenaline is good for him. It was sort of mucky over there along that fence line, which I should have been more cautious about because, of course, there's trees and shade over there. And at some point while we were doing our trot school, when we trotted over there, Sumo grabbed I believe, his left front. So he pulled off his left front. But the ground is super soft. We got a ton of rain and we got some snow a couple of days ago. So the ground is extremely forgiving. And he felt totally fine. And of course, we're not doing more than trotting over 6-inch high little tiny logs. So I thought that we could do a little bit without that left front shoe. And he felt fine. He was a trooper about it. So here at this point, now we've lost our left front. If I had thought that he felt a little sore or whatever, obviously we would have stopped, but he felt perfectly fine. And the good news is this horse has actually already been vetted. So he's already had a complete physical, flexions, riding exam, all the things. And he is absolutely perfectly clean and sound and nothing of concern. He is so cute. So, that log is kind of scary. Had to take a good little look. It's scary for them when the logs are sort of like decaying and the bark is falling off and like insects have gotten in there and it just has this sort of scary dark look about it. They all sort of spook at that sort of situation. But he was a good boy, he took a little look, he had to pause and have a little think moment, but he was a good boy, he kept going. But I did want to just come around and do it one more time to make sure that we were confident about it. Very good boy. And I like how here he's keeping his flat work as we are trotting around over little things. Good boy, really cute. So then we came up here in my circle where I also spent time with cricket. And, for sumo, actually, this is a lot harder than it is for cricket because it's a pretty tight little circle and all the jumps are relatively very close together. So when I'm on cricket, and he's under 16 hands, it's very easy for him because he's so small and he is much more easily adjustable because of his size. And so for sumo, over 17 hand horse, it feels like a lot smaller space. But man, he was a trooper about it. So this was sort of like his grand finale, home stretch. I don't want to overdo any of these guys who are hardly jumping. At this point, we're just really sumo and cricket, we're assessing the rideability and the willingness, which certainly both of them have. Sumo has the cutest little expression on his face as he's going around over this stuff. I think we do one more loop. And this is it. That made me really happy there. Super good. Cantering is pretty close together little jumps. Really good boy. And this is him at the trailer. This is getting tacked up. So we just pulled him off the trailer. Of course, for him, it's cold. It was in the high 30s and he's clipped and all the things, but he was very good about letting us get tacked up, letting us get on. He's also really good for loading, and there's a clip of that at the very end of the video.